Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine. The year was 1989. Forbes magazine released its list of the world's richest men. Nestled among billionaires and oil tycoons was a name few outside Colombia truly understood. A man who had built an empire, not from technology, not from business, but from cocaine. His name was Pablo Escobar. At his peak, Escobar controlled more than 80% of the global cocaine trade. His cartel brought in an estimated $70 million a day. He built mansions, zoos, even his own private army. To the poor of Colombia, he was a modern-day Robin Hood. To the government, he was a terrorist. To the United States, he was the most dangerous criminal in the world. But Escobar's story is not just about wealth or crime. It's about power, corruption, betrayal, and the price of ambition. It is the story of the man who became known as the king of cocaine. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia, and raised in Medellín. He wasn't born into power or wealth. His father was a farmer, his mother a schoolteacher. But from a young age, Escobar displayed both cunning and ambition. He began with petty crimes, selling fake diplomas, smuggling stereo equipment, even stealing tombstones to resell. By his 20s, he had moved into the most lucrative business Colombia had ever known, cocaine. In the 1970s, as demand for the drug exploded in the United States, Escobar saw opportunity. He organized supply routes, bribed officials, and eliminated rivals. Where others saw risk, Escobar saw empire. By the early 1980s, Escobar's Medellín Cartel was unstoppable. He smuggled tons of cocaine into Miami using planes, boats, and even submarines. His profits were so vast that he stored cash in warehouses, losing millions each year to rats and mold. At one point, his cartel spent over $2,000 a month on rubber bands just to hold stacks of bills together. With his fortune, Escobar built entire neighborhoods for the poor. He funded soccer fields, housing projects, and schools. For many in Medellín, he was not a criminal, but a savior. Don Pablo, the man who gave them dignity. But his generosity came with a darker side. Escobar lived by a brutal philosophy: plata o plomo, silver or lead. Take his bribe or take his bullet. Those who stood against him paid dearly. Judges, politicians, journalists, and police officers were assassinated. Airplanes and public buildings were bombed. Colombia became a nation gripped by fear, its democracy hanging by a thread. Escobar even entered politics. In 1982, he was elected to the Colombian Congress. For a moment, it seemed the king of cocaine might become a legitimate leader. But his past caught up with him. Exposed as a narco trafficker, Escobar was expelled from office, humiliated in public. From that moment on, his war against the state began. The violence escalated to unprecedented levels. Presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galán, who spoke out against the cartels, was assassinated. The Supreme Court was attacked by guerrillas allied with Escobar, leaving dozens dead and legal files destroyed. Even commercial flights were not safe. In 1989, a bomb planted by Escobar's men brought down Avianca Flight 203, killing all 107 aboard. His message was clear: no one was untouchable. But Escobar was not just fighting Colombia. He had declared war on the United States as well. The DEA joined the hunt, working with Colombian forces to dismantle his empire. The U.S. pressured Colombia to sign an extradition treaty, threatening drug lords with trial in American courts. To Escobar, extradition was a fate worse than death. He vowed he would rather have a grave in Colombia than a cell in the United States. In 1991, Escobar struck a deal with the government. He would surrender, but only on his own terms. He was allowed to build his own prison, a luxurious fortress he called La Catedral. Inside, he lived with comfort: a soccer field, a bar, even a waterfall. From his so-called prison, Escobar continued to run his empire. It was a mockery of justice. But in 1992, when word spread that he was still conducting business and torturing rivals inside La Catedral, the government moved to transfer him. Escobar escaped once again, vanishing into the Colombian countryside. The manhunt that followed became one of the largest in history. By now, Escobar was losing allies. His rivals formed a vigilante group known as Los Pepes, people persecuted by Pablo Escobar. Backed by Colombian intelligence and some claim with help from the US, Los Pepes waged a brutal campaign, killing Escobar's associates and destroying his network. The walls were closing in. On December 2nd, 1993, one day after his 44th birthday, Escobar's luck finally ran out. Tracked by Colombian intelligence using radio triangulation, he was cornered in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellín. As police closed in, Escobar attempted to flee across rooftops. Shots rang out. Moments later, the king of cocaine lay dead on the rooftop, his empire shattered. His death was celebrated by governments across the world. But in Medellín, thousands of mourners attended his funeral, weeping for the man who had built homes, schools, and soccer fields. To some, he was a murderer. To others, a hero. To all, he was unforgettable. Pablo Escobar's story is a reminder of the contradictions of power. He rose from nothing to become one of the richest men alive, yet his empire was built on blood. He gave to the poor, yet destroyed his nation. He sought legitimacy, yet lived as a fugitive. Even today, his shadow looms over Colombia. Narco culture, corruption, and violence did not die with him. They only evolved. And the question remains, could there ever be another Pablo Escobar? Another king who rises from the shadows to command power, wealth, and fear on a global scale? The story of Pablo Escobar is not just the story of a man. It is the story of what happens when ambition, greed, and violence collide. And it is a story the world will never forget.